I'm Dave. I'm the guy that does the 757 spy flight over on Twitch, and that is really this is one of those really nice airplanes. This is the Acropolis livery for Aegean Airlines, and this is the Phoenix A320. And I got to tell you, if I ever get to go and do some traveling in this part of the world, I hope that my flight plans put me on this particular airplane. I hope you are doing well. As I mentioned, I'm Dave. I do the spy flight over on Twitch, and today we're talking about pushbacks and departure gates and jetways and all sorts of ground things that happened. Now, over the past few days, a new application called GSX was released. And I'll tell you, GSX works really pretty good over on P3D. Now, I think that there are probably a few little holes that still need to be plugged in GSX. But I also think that learning how to use this the correct way is probably a big part of what's going to make this work for you, too. Understand that a lot of what it is that we're going to see here today is some really nice eye candy. There's some good functionality out of this, too. So, you know, one of the things is I've got my airplane already set up to go and have ground power plugged in. Well, you can see that the GSX ground power is there too. So figuring out a way to work and interface with GSX is the important part of this thing. We've got a little bit of a longer flight to do today. What are we doing? We're going to do Athens to Munich. This is a real world flight that this particular airplane, the one with the livery, has actually done recently. This is Athens to Munich. Athens to Munich. It's been a pretty long week for me, so my voice is a little on the side. Going to be using GSX and the Phoenix A320 on this flight. Other things that I'm doing is I'm using SimBrief and SimToolkit Pro, Navigraph charts, Payware airports. The one that we're at right now, Athens, is a Fly Tampa airport that's really nicely done, and of course we're using GSX. The GSX operations that I've figured out so far is fueling, pushback, arrival gate marshalling, and jetway connections. Now I will tell you that the pushback on this is really nice. So definitely tell you that that's a really nice part of all this, and I think that that's just kind of a tip of the iceberg sort of thing. First timers help. If you haven't done one of these things, the whole idea behind these full flights and first look flights like I'm doing today is for you to hop in your airplane and kind of fly along with me. So here on YouTube, you can hit pause. Go start up your airplane, and I will look forward to seeing you at the departure gate. You get to pause and restart the video, and you will also get to rewind a little bit if I did something a little bit too fast, so that you can learn all the buttons that at least I'm pressing on this airplane, so that maybe you can pick up how to operate some of these more complex jets. And then one of the things I do like to suggest is after you do this, sometime soon, do the same kind of a flight but out of your hometown airport. That's just something that you're going to recognize the landmarks, and it just kind of, helps you, remember some of the things that maybe you've seen here. Okay, so our route today is Athens to Munich. We're departing off of Athens runway 03 right. We're doing the Crow 3 Tango departure. Pretty long flight plan here over to Munich, and they're landing right now on 8 right. Cruise altitude for today is flight level 380. Flight time is 2:45. Now, this is not going to be a 3-hour video. One of the things that I do is after we get to cruise, I usually hit pause on the video. And when I hit pause on the video, you should hit pause too, and then we get back together at about 100 nautical miles from top of descent. Flight time is 2:45. Our distance today is 891 miles. So let's hop in the airplane and start doing some GSX stuff. Okay, so we've got our airplane here. We are at gate Bravo 13 here, which is where the real Aegean flight took off from to go to Munich. So this is the Bravo concourse at Athens Venizelos International Airport. This is a new airport in Greece, in Athens. And I'll tell you what, it is a really nice one. Again, it's from Fly Tampa if you're looking for a nice Athens scenery. So let's go ahead and start doing a few things. And the first thing that I usually do, or that I'm doing now with GSX, is you can see my pointer here. Let's go ahead and hit the GSX menu. See what happens. There it is. So what can we do here? Well, let's see. We can request a jetway. And we are flying for Aegean Airlines, so this is going to be our ground handling operator. And here comes the jetway. Hello, jetway. And one of the things is it's also starting to replace the ground gear with Aegean branded stuff. Now, this is one of those airports where the jetway is sponsored by Piraeus Bank. So there we go. And then we're going to kind of come on over here, and you can see it's going to open our door. And I think it should also maybe open up the, jetway. I'm not sure. Well, didn't see. Oh, okay. Well, these jetways don't act. Well, the door opened here. It just didn't open the other way. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. One of the interesting things that's starting to happen here is a lot of designers are starting to include jetways. So if you're like me and haven't gotten to walk down a jetway in a long time, well, guess what? You get to start doing that. Yeah, you can see that it did close the door here. So you have to kind of go this way, and then you can walk aboard your very, very nice airplane. And there we go, looking pretty good. Let's see here. I think we can open up the door here. Yep, open up the door, and we can go and jump in the best seat in the house. And there we are, the best seat in the house. Okay, so the next thing that I'm doing with my GSX workflow here is remembering to turn the simulator sounds on. There's a good idea. And then we are in the Phoenix. So the first thing that I do in the Phoenix, and the ID code, the passcode for the Phoenix electronic flight bag is 0000. Or you can just put your mouse pointer over the fingerprint, and that takes care of it. We're going to go to the pilot brief. And one of the cool things is just about everything that you need for a flight in the Phoenix is right here in the electronic flight bag. So there's our flight plan and flight level 380. There's our route. Our cost index is 46, so that's pretty cool. Now let's come on over here to the Phoenix app. And over here on the Phoenix app, we're going to tap and import our SimBrief flight plan. So one of the things is this greater than 60 minutes. I'm starting the flight a little bit early today, so it's going to yell at me a little bit about the time. And we are doing real-world weather and real-world time here today. I planned for a 13:35 Zulu departure, but I've got some stuff to do later on today, so we need to get the airplane off the ground right now. So this airplane really does want you to do an on-time arrival and departure. Over here on mass and balance, we're going to have 89 passengers. Planned fuel, it says, oh, this is cargo. So 2.1 kgs of cargo, and planned fuel is 8.6. Look over at the flight plan, so 8.8692. I'll usually come over and make sure, and of course it always is, but if we look here, block fuel 8692. So all right, we're going to have enough gas to get there. All right, so the next thing that I will usually do, now from what I understand, the Phoenix A320, the boarding process, they still have a few changes to make the boarding process work with all of this. So we're going to board the airplane like we normally do. So let's go ahead, and the pilots are aboard. We're going to turn on the battery, and we're going to do external power, which is punched in. We're going to turn on nav lights. The day I'm recording this is the 22nd. So that is an even day, so we use navigation and logo light system number 2. We're going to be refueling the airplane, so let's turn no smoking on. And they also say that you should turn the dome lights to dim even in the daylight. So we're going to turn the dome lights on to dim. And here's the navigation and logo light system. They're basically identical, 1 and 2. My way is I just use odd and even days. Some pilots will say it's going to be nav and logo light system 2 if the co-pilot is the pilot flying. And number 1 is going to be for the captain. Those are just some of the things that they'll do. And let's go to the ATSU AOC system right now. And this is going to start getting our flight plan plugged into the airplane. And data request. And it'll take a few seconds here. Outside the airplane, one of the things that we could do is we could go to the GSX menu. And one of the things we could do is we could request catering services. And we'll do Olympic catering.
Vehicles are on their way.
And so one of the things that'll happen here is we can get catering set up here. And so that's a cool thing. One of the things that they do in, I think this is predominantly European airports. You see that we've got a set of stairs out here. They will connect this set of stairs back over here to the back of the airplane. That's sort of an emergency exit in case there's a problem. I don't really see that happening in the U.S., but it seems to happen too in a lot of European airports. This is an option that I believe you can turn off within GSX. And as our airplane slowly comes to life, let's go down here. And let's go and start our alignment process. So nav 1, nav 2, nav 3. I think you're supposed to wait a little bit when you just click those on, but we're just going to go and turn those on right now because we want to see the catering going on here. August to September, looks like we've got our navigation data is good. Over on the init page, we're going to init request. And this is going to get the flight plan over into the McDo side. And let's see, do we have anything resembling catering coming in? Don't see our catering trucks coming in yet. Gotta have some catering. Okay, and here is our flight plan that's in there. We are flying Aegean Airlines, that's A3. We are flight 441. And it's a little hard to see here today because of the light. So if you slide over A3 441, there is our flight number. Our cost index for today's flight is 46. And our cruise altitude for today's flight is flight level 380. So 380. And there we go. Flight plan is uplinking, so that's a good thing. We can do an IRS init and align on the reference page and confirm. So there's our alignment going on. Now winds. This thing will go and get your cruise winds, your climb winds, your descent winds. So you click it once, and then it's going to give you some numbers. And here comes the catering trucks. All right. I'm sure that they're going to be bringing us plenty of very, very tasty Greek gyros. And, of course, a little bit of coffee, too. It's just my standard coffee today. I should have made some Venizelos coffee. Okay, so all of these things open here. I don't think that oh, look at that. The catering truck opened the front door and it opened the back door too. Let's go inside the airplane. And let's kind of go over here. And so we can kind of look around here. And if we look back like this, and let's see, let's walk on back and see if we can see anything happening back here. I think I saw somebody go. They have the curtains here. So we'll just keep walking back. Let's see if we see anything. Oh, it stopped us there. Okay, let's see if we can see the catering going on up front here today. So let's see if we can do the up front catering guy. So I don't think there's something about that in the inside view of this airplane. Aha, look at that. Hey, here comes all of our first class snacks and coffee. So you can go and you get a little bit of catering eye candy there. Don't run us over. Okay, well, decided to go the other way there. That was weird. Anyway, so, okay, we've got the catering going. So, we've got the coffee pouring. So that's the important part. Now then, we've got winds. Apparently, in the real airplane, you need to request the winds twice. So we're going to do this twice. And while we request, and now you can see we can either cancel the uplink or insert it. Let's insert the uplink. And there's the winds taken care of. And here's everything going on back here. They're doing the peanuts for the folks in the back. I guess it's not peanuts. I guess it's pretzels because of peanut allergies. Unless you're flying United, then it's stroopwafels. Stroopwafels, I believe. Okay, so now all of this is looking good. Let's go on over here. And it's a little bit early, but again, now from what I understand, loading the aircraft, you have to load the aircraft this way, and then if you load the aircraft through GSX, Those two are causing some conflicts right now. I tried it earlier and it wasn't pretty. So let's just go ahead and we're going to do this the way I usually load the airplane, and I'm going to do the fast time loading on the airplane here. So passengers are coming aboard, fuel is coming aboard, and here's the planned cargo. Now, from what I understand, you can also do the fueling on this airplane too. So what we would have done, and I think I might have screwed this up, so what we could have done is we could have requested the fuel truck and then started the loading of the fuel, I believe. I think it works better in the PMDG 737 than in the Phoenix right now, because I got a little tangled up with that too. But I have a feeling that the folks from Phoenix and the folks from GSX will probably plug that hole relatively quickly. The fact is, they may have already done that, and I'm just like really, really behind the times. Okay, so boy, we've got some bright lights over here. So let's go and try and go about this way. Okay, so the winds are updated and uplinked. Let's go ahead and do our flight plan going out. LGAV, departure. We're going off on runway 03 right. We are doing the Crow 3 Tango departure. So core. Okay, here in Athens, important safety tip. There's Kia, there's core, and there's Crow. So really watch the K departures. You can get tangled up there. We're doing Crow 3 Tango, right? Always look at my flight plan to make sure before I click the button. Okay, there's Crow 3 Tango and no transition, so we're going to insert that. Now let's go into Munich, and our arrival right now, Munich is landing on 8s. We're going to go with the 8 right ILS. And we are doing the NAPS 4 Alpha arrival. So NAPS 4 Alpha. There's NAPS, there's 4 Alpha. Okay, no transitions there. Is there a VIA? There's VIAs. Okay, so this is why it is that when you start your flight, you have your stack of charts already set up here. And so here's the NAPS 4 Alpha arrival. And so we come in at NAPSA. And NAPSA puts us out at Ottersberg. Ottersberg, that would be a good place if you owned a de Havilland Twin Otter. And that's my first week attempt at a joke this morning. Okay, let's see what happens after Ottersberg. And look at that. After Ottersberg, we loop-de-loop around and come on in to land. That's an official airline term too, by the way, loop-de-loop. I'm kidding, of course. Let's see, do we have an Ottersberg transition here? OTT, look at that. So now you know how it is that you can connect the dots. And not all stars and ILSs connect the dots like that. Some of them do, some of them have vectors. So, you know, there's no one rule for every approach. And then this is going to be a fairly long flight here today. But boy, do I like the fact that this thing will go and get all of your, get your whole approach in. You can download your whole approach is what I'm trying to say. And all this looks good. There's NAPSA, there's OT, there's our runway, and there is our flight plan. How about that? Okay, let's go over back to the init page and come on over here. And let's also look and see and receive messages. Do we have a... Okay, because we're off schedule here, you're going to have to hit resend the load sheet. So we're going to resend the load sheet. And it looks like fueling is done and passengers are almost boarded, so we're going to be able to start flying soon. And load sheet. So what do we got here? Our zero fuel weight is 51.0. So come on over here and we're going to do page B. Zero fuel weight 51.0. And hit the slash button. And then slide back over here. Go to page 2. And our center of gravity is 31.2. So 31.2. Okay, that should go up here in the top. GPS primary is set. That means that everything's aligned and we're almost ready to go. Fuel planning. So really what I do for the fuel is I look at the gas gauge, make sure that it's not saying refueling. That means we're all gassed up and ready to go. So 8.6 is our fuel. So let's go ahead and do 8.6. And that goes in there. Now let's go over to the application. Upboarding is complete, and the Phoenix has already gone and gotten rid of our jetway. So the jetway is away, and it's closed the door. I'm a little bit behind here, so I usually have the master switch on, and we can look down here, and it's activating the APU, and the little flap in the back of the airplane's opening up. And does it say flap open? Does it say flap open? It's going to say flap open down here. If it doesn't say that, then we're going to have a bit of a flap. And there is another pathetic joke. Okay, flap open. So now we can start up the old APU. All right. So should have done that a little bit sooner, I think, so that we could get a little bit of ventilation in the airplane. Okay, all of this is looking good. We're going to go and do the departure performance application here, and we're going off of runway 03 right, so switch the runway to 3 right. It's a dry runway. I usually leave my packs on, and let's sync the final load sheet, and let's sync the live weather, and then we're going to calculate. And it spins and spins and spins, and this is going to be a flaps 2 departure with the trim down 0.1. So performance flaps 2 / DN 0.1. I can't see this. Let's look and see. 2. Whoopsie. Boy, am I glad I looked. I hit the 7 instead of the point. 0.1. All right, there we go. That looks good. We are going to flex for sure. 68 degrees. So slide over here and 68 degrees. And what are our speeds for takeoff? 134, 134, and 136. So 134 is our V1. 134 and 146. 134, 134, 146, right? 134, 134. Oh, 136, not 146, 136. Oh, very big difference between that. Okay, there we go. Now that's all set and ready to go. APU is up and running. We'll get the bleed popped in, turn the temperature in the back of the airplane down just a little bit. Passengers are aboard. Let's do seatbelts. Doors closed. We're going to arm the emergency exit lights. Beacon can go on. I'm going to disconnect from ground power, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our pumps. I usually do that right now because I forget, and forgetting isn't good. Weather here at Athens, right now the altimeter is 1005. Now, if you're flying along with me, chances are your altimeter setting's going to be a little different. Remember, it's recorded, not live. So 1005. And 65. There we go. All right, and our final cruise. Now, the right way to do this, especially if you're on VATSIM, is look at your departure. And here's our departure, and what we want to do is we want to see, do we have a climb? Some departures have a climb, others don't. This one, unless I'm not seeing it, we do not have a departure going out. Okay. So at this point in time, I'm going to be an incredibly lazy pilot, and I'm just going to go flight level 380. If we were on VATSIM, they would probably give us something like initial climb of 7,000 feet. So 380, which is our final climb. And like I said, we can be a little on the lazy side. And everything's looking good here. All of this is good. We're going to go back to the Phoenix app, and we're going to go to ground services. And right now you can see the GPU is plugged in, chocks and cones are out, and everything else is clear. So we've already disconnected from ground power, so we're going to disconnect the GPU. Okay, so that's good. Looking down here, we're going to be on VATSIM. We're not on VATSIM, but I always do what they call squawk mode Charlie, because now's when we're supposed to squawk mode Charlie before we move the airplane. If we were on VATSIM, we would also be, if there was no ATC, we would tune the radio to 122.8, and we would be announcing our intentions. And, you know, sometimes announcing intentions and talking on the radio like that's kind of scary. I did a YouTube video here recently about things to say and ways to think about talking on the radio. And maybe that's something that if you're having a hard time figuring those sorts of things out, that'd be a good thing for you to watch. Because it is. Talking on the radio is scary for a lot of people. I think we're ready to go. So now what we're going to do is let's go outside the airplane. You see our APU is up. We have chocks in place, and everything is clear of the airplane. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get a little bit of help here from GSX. This is a part of GSX that I think is really well done. So GSX, and what we're going to do is prepare for pushback and departure. Uh-oh, look at this. See, there's somebody walking over. Oh, they're holding something. That's the gear pin. And if we look in the cockpit, you can see...
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Hey, how about that? And I don't know if you heard, but one of the things that GSX does is they have regional accents, which I think is absolutely awesome that they're doing that. Okay, so this guy's been over here working on the air conditioner this whole time.
Departure checks completed. Bypass been inserted.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and my parking brakes are on. I'm going to go on this airplane and now I'm going to pull my chocks and my cones. Okay, so parking brake is on, chocks and cones, and as far as the Phoenix app is concerned, we're clear. Now, if you take a look down here, there's all sorts of cool stuff going on down here. And I think that it's probably a little bit better to go outside the airplane with the drone cam. Let's see what they're up to.
Looking here.
Okay, because so you even see he's gone and put the gear pin in. Okay, so took the little wheels out there. Okay, so now we have an option here. What do we want to do? Nose right, tail left, or nose left, tail right? I think we want to go and do nose left, tail right.
Release parking brakes, please.
Ah, release parking brakes. It's already time to do parking brakes? Wow. I guess we better get back in the cockpit here. All right, so parking brakes. Released.
All engines clear.
Okay, so we're also clear to start. So we can go ahead and let's get our starter. And we're going to look down here. Do I have pneumatic pressure to both engines? We do. Starting engine number 2. Engine 2 starts. Not so bad. And they're going to spin us around. One of the other really cool parts about this is all we told them is we either wanted a straight push or nose to the right, nose to the left. And it's going to put us right on our taxi line. So there's our pushback line right there. I think that that's pretty awesome. We didn't have to do pre-planning or anything. We're also seeing that we got a wing walker here. And I believe that you can even add a few more wing walkers if you want to do that too. And looks like we're getting a good start on engine number 1. It looks like it's starting engine 2. We're going to start engine 1 right now. And look at this. We are out and about and ready to go. Okay, and now that they're almost done, as we look out, you can see, hey, there's our supervisor making sure that everything's going good. Excuse me, I'm trying to get off allergy pills and stuff like that.
Please set parking brakes.
All right, and parking brakes are set.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
Okay, and look at this. We are getting a good start on engine number 1. One of the ways that you can tell that the start sequence is still going is if you go outside an Airbus. You see the little gray box here on N2? When the gray box is on, and you saw it just went out. We're done with the start. So all of this is looking good, and the EGT is coming up. I'm going to say we got a good start on that engine. So let's go up here and hit GSX. Confirm good engine start.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Okay. So while they're disconnecting, here is our final load sheet. Go to the init page, page B. Our initial zero fuel weight is 51.0. Oh, we have 6 new passengers. So 53.3 is our new zero fuel weight. And I'll bet they are going to be in different parts of the cabin. So our new center of gravity is 31.4. Yep, that's different too. 31.4. Plug that in. Back to the performance page. And accept this. And return. And they've done the locking gear. And this guy's going to go and pull the gear pin.
Disconnected. Bypass be removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
So did left is clear, right is clear, letting us know that there's nobody hiding under the airplane, that they're, our wings are clear, we're good to taxi. And what we're waiting for right now is to look out here, and it's going to come out and give us a wave. Some airlines, have different names for it. United calls this the salute and release from guidance. They're going to show us that they have the gear pin so we can steer the airplane. Hi, gear pin. And give us a wave off. A salute release from guidance says, hey, you're now clear to taxi. There's nothing underneath your airplane. Bye. Thank you. See you next time. Now, the thing that this guy is going to do is he's going to walk in front of the airplane, though. So we can't just go. So I wanted to show you that even though the pushback is over like this, guy's going to walk in. We're not ready to taxi immediately yet. So if you're in a VATSIM event and you're using GSX and it's like cross the pond and they're telling you to taxi right now or lose your departure slot, that's one of the things you need to do. And then this guy is going to eventually just disappear. There we go. Nose gear. Let's go ahead and we haven't done the starter yet. So starter's back to normal. And now we're just going to do a regular flight. So the APU bleed can go off. The APU can go off as well. Get your feet on the rudder pedals. Let's go ahead and do control checks. I always suggest you do these like the real pilots do. There's elevators. Here's ailerons. Because sometimes your USB controllers will disconnect. And this makes sure that you have control of your airplane and you don't find out about that when you're on the takeoff roll. That happened to me once. So, okay, now it's time to fly. So we're going to go over here and we're going to go ahead and do nose light. And we've already been cleared, so parking brake is off. And yep, parking brake is off. Now the airplane sometimes, if it's a light airplane, will just start to roll. So I did this flight Venizelos down to Crete and down to Herculon, and the airplane just started rolling around. But generally this airplane will just go and maintain a nice taxi like this, which is really cool. An amazing airplane. See, I'm going to go ahead and backlight the mode control panel here, the autopilot, so I'm turning that up right now. You could also turn up the numbers there. Okay, this should be Delta 6, and so we're going to get over to the Delta taxiway and go on out. And following our taxi lines. One of the things to do is to do regular practice flights like this so that you can follow the taxi lines and do a good pro taxi, especially if you think that you're going to be into some VATSIM events, because you're going to be expected to stay in the middle of the taxiway. I know, imagine that, huh? I think that my sensitivities are just a little bit off, and I need to desensitize things a little bit more. And we might need to add a little bit more. Okay, so remember our flaps are 2. So this is a great time to come back here and watch the flaps go down. Again, part of the reason we do this is we're AV geeks We like going places on airplanes, so getting to go and look at things like that is a thing to do. All right, and we are actually out on the Charlie taxiway here. And Charlie should take us all the way down to Delta 1. Maybe what we'll do is we'll hop over to the Delta taxiway once we're clear of the high speeds. What do I mean about that? So, you know, here we are. This is the runway that they might be landing on, and airplanes could be getting off on the high speeds. So we're on the inner taxiway until we're beyond this, and then maybe they would zigzag us down here. Oops, being a bad pilot, get over here. Here's that little midfield concourse that they have here at Athens Airport. If you go and look around this Payware airport, and again, this is a Payware from Fly Tampa. If you go up to the control tower and go nosing around the control tower, I think you will see some guy's lunch and a bottle of ouzo. So nice little surprise waiting for you in the control tower. There is the blue Aegean hangar, and behind it is another big blue building. There is an IKEA here at Athens Airport. We'll just keep going down to Delta 1 here on Charlie. All right, final checks here. Flaps are out. Okay, we need to do speed brakes to full. Spoilers need to be armed. So spoilers are armed. Flaps are set. We ought to do a cabin call. Let them know, hey, we're serious about doing that flying thing. I'm going to turn on crew oxygen because I guess they want to breathe or something. And around we go here. One of the things I really like about this Fly Tampa Airport is if you take a look at the grass off to the side, you see that there's different levels. It's not all just flat here. And in particular, a lot of airports, you know, the area right by the runway has, you know, a little dip in there for drainage and stuff. And if you look over here, there is the dip for drainage. I mean, that's awesome. Incredible detail. All right, we need to do the takeoff config check. And the takeoff config check is good. Towers just cleared us. So we're going to go ahead, and strobe's going on. And I'm also going to hit the first switch on both of the landing lights. What that does is it lowers the landing lights out of the bottom of the airplane. They're not on yet, though. Okay, we don't want to blind anybody, so we'll turn on the landing lights when we're running down the runway. It's sort of the last thing that you do before takeoff. Lets everybody know that says, hey, this airplane's serious about doing that flying thing. And again, a nice gentle taxi, just like the real airplanes. I've been watching an awful lot of you know, real world flight videos where some guy just goes and puts a camera in the window of an airplane for a full flight. And well, let's take off and I'll tell you that story. Everything looks good, so landing lights on, and looks like it's time to fly. So throttle's going up. I usually run my throttles up to about that little halfway mark, and it's hard to see. It's kind of, there we go. And engines are stable. There's manual flex, SRS. Runway is set. I'm seeing those in the primary flight display. Auto thrust is blue. And it's hard to see those sorts of things, and that way you're not able to kind of keep your eye on the runway. The other thing that, okay, there's 100 knots. It's also hard to stay in the center of the runway when you're looking at your airspeed. V1 and rotate. Positive rate of climb, landing gear. Always fun to go outside and watch the gear go up on the airplane. And there goes the Acropolis Aegean out of Athens. And let's go and see how we're doing. Let's go ahead and center up the flight directors there. Okay, there's lever climb, so our thrust levers go down to climb. And we've turned too much. And pushing the nose down a little bit. Hey, there it is, nicely centered. Let's get some help from the autopilot. And if you center up your flight directors and then engage your autopilot, the airplane doesn't do any big gymnastics and stuff. Speed brakes. We're done with speed brakes. How's our speed? Oh, we got to start bringing flaps up. Flaps 1. And there's the S. So look back and watch the leading edge slats go up now, which I think are really nicely modeled here on the Phoenix. Absolutely great animations out of there. And there we go. And out we go. We should have turned on constraints. And we're going to turn this out just too. So this is going to take us out. We're going to make that right turn, then the left turn over Crow. And KRO stands for Charistos. I believe that's the name of the small little island that we're going over. And if we come out here, I think we could even turn on terrain radar, and it would show you there's little Charistos Island. The blue is, of course, the water. And when Sim Update 12 comes out, 10 comes out, we're supposed to have some weather radar. So how we doing? Out we go. So we've taken off here maximum 210 knots. And we can do a 20-degree bank here in the turn as we make our turn from 12 miles from the runway to Charistos Island. And then we're going to make a left turn as we start to head up Greece, the middle of Greece, out over, I believe it's the Ionian Sea, and then on our way to Germany. The airplane knows it's 210 knots. And a nice climb. Transition altitude out of Athens is 9,000 feet. I think it's 6,000 feet at the islands out in the Aegeans, but it's 9,000 feet around Athens. So coming up on 8,000. And real world weather, real world time on today's flight. Okay, there is our turn. And there is altimeters, so reset the altimeters. Standard, standard, and the backup, standard. And out we go. See, 10,000 feet, we should have also come up here. We're gonna do landing lights off. The nose light's off, but we're gonna go ahead and turn it off anyway. Cabin call, let them know that it is 10,000 feet. And for some airlines, that means sterile cockpit is over. For other airlines, it's just 10,000 feet, the reminder for the flight attendants to tell the passengers that they're not allowed, seatbelt sign still on, stay in your seat. Okay, so there is the island that we were talking about. So Charistos, and there's going to be a VOR on the island, and that's when we're going to make our turn out. And there we go, not so bad. We took off from Athens Airport, Bravo 13. And one of the ways that I know what was going on, what gates to choose, is I went to FlightAware. You could also go to Flight Radar 24. And let's go over here and do LGAV and EDDM for Munich and do a search. And so what I went and I did is I got the next Aegean flight, which is in 16 hours. Okay, no, I got the one that already took off and landed. So this one. And this one told me that the Aegean left gate Bravo 13 and is going to be arriving in Munich's gate K10. Okay, so if it's K10, now we know what our arrival gate is. And then this was the flight that they took, which is kind of similar to the one that we're taking today. This is a little bit older. Okay, so K10. It's never too early to go and start looking at these things. And so we'll look at the gate chart. Now then, the K gates, I believe, are up here. This is Terminal 2, and this is the satellite for Terminal 2. And I believe the K gates are over here, and K10 is going to be one of these over here. So this is one of those airports where the passengers know, Concourse K and Gate 10, but the pilots are given another number. So again, I haven't looked at this for sure, but I think we're going to park at 245, 246, or 247. So it's good to know, to have those numbers kind of in your head, because when we get on closer to the ground, we're going to want to tell GSX what our arrival gate is. Okay, how we doing here on the departure? Okay, almost over Christos. We're going to be making a turn. It's still 210 knots here, so a couple of tight turns here. Flight level 380. Seatbelts are on. Lights are off. All the other lights are off too. Oops! I usually try and turn the aft temperature in the aft cargo up to about mid-range, in case somebody brings their dog and their dog's down there or something. You know, they don't want to have, you know, popsicle dogs or anything. We shouldn't be getting any messages here through ACARS right now. And there we are over Christos Island, making the turn. If you go and start flying close to the ground, you should see VOR stations and Microsoft Flight Simulator. So those are modeled there. And we can go and take a look at the chart here on Navigraph. And zoom on in here. You can see there's our little turn. And look over here and see there's our turn over the island. So we are spot on for our departure. So yeah, looks like we're going to go right up the middle of the Aegean Sea, go right over Thessaloniki, going over Kosovo, going over Austria here. So Innsbruck's over here. And then into Munich. We are passing 22,000 feet. Ah, look at this. Our speed's coming up. No more speed restrictions, so it's warp factor 10. Usually once we get to that point, I'm going to go and bring my map up to about 80. And if we're on VATSIM, we're going to be able to see a good representation of TCAS traffic, which is really nice. So this is a really nice view of all this. Looking down here, there's nothing really to do with this at the moment. If we wanted to, I think we could go over here and do weather, and do a weather request. And we could go and do EDDM, and we can punch that in there. And I'm going to request the METAR and send it. Now another thing is, if we were on VATSIM and if there was an ATC, I believe we could do get the ATIS through this too. Let's look down here, received weather data. Look at this. There is the current weather right now. Winds are 360 at 7. Visibility is pretty good. It's 23 degrees. The altimeter is 1016. So now we got a good handle on what the weather's looking like. One of my favorite websites to go to, particularly if you're new in the world of flight sim and VATSIM, and a link to this is in the description. This is METAR TAF. So let's go and do EDDM Munich. And so now what we can do is look down here, and this was the same information right there. But now what we're doing is we're getting a visual representation of what the weather's going to be like. So right now we're planning on landing on 8 right. So we can click 8 right, which is the runway that the winds are favoring right now. It is going to be a crosswind, and it's about a 7-knot crosswind and a 1-knot headwind. So 7 knots, good visibility. And this is a really great website to be able to start crunching, looking at weather information, and being able to see, being able to see how the weather is going to affect your airplane when you're landing. So METAR TAF is a really great place to go, and it's worldwide. So you can use it on a flight in the U.S. airspace. You can use it over Hawaii. You can use it on our flight today from Athens to Germany. So I really like that. Passing 24,000 feet. It's a nice smooth day. There's probably somebody back in the cabin that had too much coffee, so we'll go ahead and do seatbelts. Trust me, you only have too much coffee one time as an airplane passenger. So overall, I think that GSX is working really pretty good. I think that there's still a lot that we have to learn about it. But as we learn more and as we start to get more compatibility with airports and sceneries and airplanes, I think it's going to just keep getting better and better and better. We are 79 miles from our top of climb. Generally, you can go and use Navigraph maps here in the Phoenix iPad. I think it's really nice. I think it's a little bit slow. And so generally what I do, especially as a live streamer, I just as soon use this right now because I can set it all up. It works really fast. And, you know, doing a live stream flight on VATSIM and everything else, I need stuff to work, you know, pretty quickly. And one of the things you'll probably notice here in the Phoenix is as you're punching buttons here on the McDo and stuff like that, one of the things that you're going to notice is the buttons don't, if you start pressing buttons too fast, it's just going to start ignoring you. This is something that the real airplane does too. You have to deliberately push a button. It's not just brrr, you have to do 2, 7. You know, you don't get to go and type at warp factor 10. And so that's one of the things that Phoenix modeled in this is the fact that the buttons are not instant, you know, instant press and it's great kind of a deal. One of the things you'll probably notice here is I usually will clip in what I call my flight notes. So you'll see this, I've clipped this into the notes to the description below. You can go and highlight everything that you see that I've clipped into there. You can go Control-C and put this in Notepad. This is how it is that I keep all of my flight data straight, particularly when I'm in a VATSIM event. I used to go through, you know, reams and reams of paper when I first started doing this. And now one of the things that I've done is I'm able to go and just use a notepad. So that's something, I call it the flight strip. You probably, in the old days of air traffic control, you know, when you had an airplane that a controller was responsible for, it was a strip of paper in a plastic thing, and they had this stack of, you know, flight strips. So I've called my little notepad thing the flight strip, and it's got all the information that I need. This is something you can copy and paste into your notepad and change it so that it's something that works for you. If you're getting started on VATSIM, I will suggest a pencil and a piece of paper to start. Okay, write it down first, and then as you start to get familiar with what it is that you're going to be expected to know, then you could transfer over to something like Notepad and, you know, start saving, you know, saving money, saving the planet, not going through, like I said, cutting down a forest of trees for the paper that I was going through. You know, the other thing that I'll do is I will go and for my flight plan, I would actually even print flight plans and stuff. Now, real world pilots, they print it. They got a piece of paper in the cockpit in case their computers crash. They need to have this there. But I usually keep this shortcutted on my desktop so that I can go and I can look really fast if I need to see passenger information, if I need to see the route information. You know, I need to get a latitude and longitude for a waypoint or something. If I get rerouted, then having something like this over here on PDF, just, you know, again, minimized, but it's always there. You can also get that information right here because it's in the pilot brief. But if it's over there on a PDF file, I can get to it quicker if I need to. So that's something really, really nice. And how are we doing on our climb? Flight level 320, going to flight level 380. And usually what I will do is after takeoff, we've already gone and gotten a little bit of weather there. So from here, I will go to the McDo menu, and go over to FMGC on this one. And on this one, I might go and put the progress page up over on this one. Mostly I do the progress page over on the Copilot's FMC on the 737. And then I will, I would, maybe flight plan would be better instead of progress, because that gives me distance to go and what time we're going to actually, what time we're going to get there. Right now it is 11:53 Zulu. It says we're going to be getting in at 13:49 Zulu. So that's pretty good. And then I'll usually keep the performance page up over there. One of the things that the real-world Airbus pilots do, from what I understand, is they will go and run through the ECAM. Run through the ECAM, and this is every 30 minutes. They'll go and they'll hit the engine button and make sure the numbers look good. They'll look at the bleed button. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can also hit the all button. And the all button just pages through electrics, and then it goes back to the cruise page, hydraulics, back to the cruise page. From what I understand, the green system is the one that gets the hardest use, so you're going to see the hydraulic fluid the lowest, I believe, on the green system. Back to cruise. There's the fuel page. We're not losing gas. APU page should be quiet and dark. Air conditioning, it's nice and comfortable in the cockpit and in the cabin. All of our doors should be closed. The wheel page, maybe our brakes look like, okay, well, our brakes are 35 degrees on the right inner tire, and we've got 200, 225, so the tires are pumped up, so that's good. And flight controls are looking good, and there is the all button. If you got a couple of if you had errors or something in the status page, you would see those still there. And then I usually, like I said, I'll leave it here on the main cruise page. From what I understand, real-world pilots, the real-world Airbus pilots, they will look through the ECAM every 30 minutes. Just to make sure the airplane's behaving. 35, flight level 350, and out we go. If you don't have Navigraph like this and you want to be able to do a little flight tracking and stuff, the other thing you could do is I use SimToolkit Pro, and SimToolkit Pro is really nice. It'll show you where your airplane is. Hard to see, but the airplane's right here as we come up over the west Aegean Sea here. And you can see our route of the flight taking us in. Looks like we got a couple of scattered showers here. I think that they had a weather system just kind of graze over the top of Munich, but all of that looks pretty good. So there's going to be some stormy weather in some areas. I don't know how close to live this is, but it's pretty close, I hear. This also shows that our estimated time en route is 1 hour and 38 minutes, which should correspond to the information you see at the top of the screen there, more that way, yeah. So SimToolkit Pro, if you're wondering where the data comes for the live stream and here on YouTube, that all comes from SimToolkit Pro, which I think is really nice. The only thing I don't like about SimToolkit Pro is my landing rates always seem to be really, really hard. And it's terribly depressing to see how bad. I think I've got a nice little butter landing there, and it turns out, well, no, not really. You slammed it into the ground, so there's a little bit of, the landing rates could be a little bit nicer to us sim pilots. That being said, real pilots, they're not losing sleep over their SimToolkit Pro landing rate. But if you're live streaming, you get to have a little bit of fun whining about it. Coming up on our final cruise, flight level 380. So we do have a bit of a long flight. It is early in the morning here where I live. So usually the YouTube flights, what I will do is, get the airplane up in the air. We'll get to cruise altitude. And then what I usually do, like I said, is I'm going to stop the recording. And then when we get to about 100 miles out from top of descent, when it's 100 miles from top of descent, that's when I restart the video. And so you can hit pause on the video too, and then start it when your airplane is 100 miles from top of descent. In fact, look at that. Now that we've reached cruise, we are 632 miles from top of descent. So what I usually do is, this is a morning type of a deal that I do here on YouTube and on Monday mornings. So I've had my coffee. Now I've got a little bit of time to go over and make breakfast and enjoy breakfast. So that's what I do. By the way, it also says 630 miles UTC 1321. So if you look, there is the clock right there. It's 11:58 Zulu on the airplane. So this gives me a time and says, hey, look at how much time I have to go and make a nice breakfast. Breakfast today is scrambled eggs with salsa and probably some shredded chicken in the eggs. Toast and probably some sort of jam and orange juice. So if you're flying in the morning, you can go and do breakfast. Or if you are flying on VATSIM, you have to pay attention to VATSIM. Or you can go and get a slice of pizza, which would probably taste really, really, really good. When we come in, one of the things that we'll be doing is we will be telling GSX which gate we're going to. And we'll see, we'll do a little experimenting once we get on the ground. And we'll see how GSX, if it will unload our passengers for us. And we'll watch it with the Phoenix and see what goes on there. So for you, we'll go ahead and enjoy our flight over the Aegean Sea in the Acropolis livery of Aegean Airlines Flight 441, service to Munich. See you 100 miles from top of descent. Welcome back, although it's probably just been a little bit of time for some of you. We are almost 100 miles from top of descent. And in fact, look at that, 93 miles from top of descent, so not so bad there as far as our trip into Munich. So a couple of things that have gone on while you've been gone is I've checked the weather. I've also re-verified a gate number, because the big thing that we need to do to use GSX is know where it is that we're going. And so the real world flight that we're shadowing right now went to gate K10. That would, I believe that translates to gate 246. Now, I don't have a complete handle on that right now, but gate 246 is over here. There's terminal 2. There's that little midfield concourse, so I'm guessing that it's going to be somewhere around 246. So to make sure, we are going to come in on runway 08 right. I just checked the real world. Real world at this time is, actually I think they're using 08 left right now in the real world. Let's just stick with the plan for this flight. Coming in on 08 right, we're going to go ahead and probably do a speed brakes low, and we'll try and exit on Bravo 12 here, which should take us right on into the center area here. And go ahead and click this again. So there is center 2. I think we'll probably be getting off at Bravo 12, move over to the O2 side, I guess. And then we'll come on in here and we're going to go for gate 246. So we know that we're going to go for either K10 or 246, depending upon what it is, what options GSX gives us for our landing. So now we're prepared for what's going to be happening in GSX. Now, if you were in a big VATSIM event, this is also a good idea to have a gate, a place that you can park. Because in very, very big events, usually you'll have ATC say something when you get onto ground control, you know, taxi straight ahead, say parking. They're going to say, they will tell you, they want to know if you know where you want to park. And so at that point in time, now some events are going to give you parking, but if you've got an idea of where you want to go, that just makes things a little less confusing. Coming in at NAPSA, we do have a speed restriction of 280 knots. We're supposed to be above flight level 130. And here at Ottersburg, we're going to continue in Ottersburg, watching out for twin otters. Yep, that joke's going to happen a lot. And then we're going to make our little turn to Massac, maybe? I'm not sure. Going down to 5,000 feet as we turn into the ILS. We know that we're going to do a Category 1 approach. Decision height's going to be 1,686 feet. We got to see the runway when it says minimums, otherwise we're not legal to land. And our final descent is going to be 5,000 feet. So our initial descent to 5,000 feet, because that's what I call the final plunge altitude. Final plunge being when do we start down for the runway. It's not officially called final plunge. I just say that on the live stream because it sounds more entertaining. So here we are, top of descent's getting even closer. Looks like 68 miles, so let's go ahead and we're going to put that 5,000 feet right in there. So, whoa, turn that a little bit fast. 5,000 feet, so all that's good. If we take a look here into legs in the flight management computer, if we go and page through here, you're going to see that everything is all nicely set in. So there is Ottersburg right there. After Ottersburg, then it's the this D26 right. I believe that's also it's 18 miles from Ottersburg. Then after that, we're going to go, and it's MAH. That's that Massac, I think. And then after Massac, we've got another deceleration point, and then we turn to final. And so Begin is our 5,000 foot final plunge altitude, and I even see that it is starred at 5,000 feet as we get ready to come on in. So at this point, we'll basically say that our flight plan is in good shape. Let's go to the McDo menu. We're going to go into the ATSU AOC system, and ATSU AOC translates to Air Traffic Services Unit, and AOC stands for Airline Operations Control. All right, so now that we know what those acronyms are for, wouldn't it have just been easier to say something? Anyway, let's do a weather, and we're going to do a weather request, and we are coming into EDDM, Munich, and we're going to request the METAR. Sometimes when you hit the buttons, like I said, it doesn't actually, the button. So yes, METAR says yes, and send. There we go. And so we have to do 2 returns to get out of there, and we'll wait for a receive. Oh, look at that, it's already in. That was pretty fast. So weather data for this flight should be, looks 050 at 7. Good visibility, it's 23 degrees, the altimeter's 1016. If we wanted to, we could also go to METAR TAF, where I've already gone and got the weather for Munich. And you can see how the wind is going to affect us on the landing. So coming in on the 8s, it's going to be blowing at us from the left side of the airplane, blowing us to the right side of the runway. It's not very strong, 7 knots, good visibility, so this should be a nice landing. So that looks good. And this is good too. So we are 47 miles from top of descent. We'll come back over here, do McDo menu, FMGC, and flight plan. This tells us that 202 miles to go. So we've got 202 miles. It is currently 1313 Zulu, and this says we're going to be landing at 1347 Zulu. It also says 1347 here. Our estimated fuel on board is 4.1. If we go ahead and look over on the flight plan, we can go and take a look at final reserve. So final reserve and alternate should have been 2.7. So we got tons of fuel. I usually board about 30 minutes of fuel for our 30 minutes of fuel for taxi out and 15 as a minimum. If it's a VATSIM event, I might kick it up even more. So at this point in time, the only thing that I really haven't done is gone in and done the arrival performance. And I guess I've gotten kind of lazy about doing the arrival performances here. EDDM, I think that our runway is dry. Our runway is going to be, remind me, that's just why I write this stuff down, 8 right. So 0, 8 right. Let's see, we'll apply the METAR. There is our METAR. Now then, landing weight, we have to put a number in here. And let's see here, if we go into phase, that's descent. Is this going to give me a landing weight here? VAP, VLS. Okay, I'm not going to get that there. Let's go to init, maybe page B. 0 fuel weight, center of gravity, gross weight. It's probably right in front of me. Maybe in fuel prediction. Let's look at fuel prediction. I'll bet there's it. Maybe that's going to give us one. Nope, that's fuel prediction. You know what I think what we would do is take the current weight of the airplane. I think that that's just too much math for me right now, and I'm out of coffee, so I'm going to beg you to just let me skate on this one, okay? Just let me skate on this one. I will learn this for next time, okay? And we need to get ready for our top of descent. So back to performance, 27 miles out. I'm sure it's in there. It was probably right in front of me. But again, it's early. The coffee cup is empty. And enough pathetic excuses. So everything's looking good here. I think we're ready to go. 182 miles. So one of the things that we could do is the pilots might take a look and see that 181. See that we're expected to land at 1347. It's 1316. So it's about 30 minutes to landing. So the pilots could be, this is about the time the pilots might be getting on the PA and saying, hey, from the cockpit, we're about half an hour from landing in Munich. Right now it is, Munich is 178 miles to the northwest of us. Weather in Munich's pretty good. Good visibility, a little breeze out of the east. Out of the east, I believe. And ceiling and visibility is nice. It is 23 degrees for those of you that speak Fahrenheit. That's going to be about 70 or so. And look at this, we've got the enter destination data. So I usually go and get the phase set up, and then I'll look at my METAR, and it says 1016. Now I will clear that and start putting in numbers. Sometimes I have cleared that out and then gotten distracted, so I don't actually clear that out until I'm putting numbers in. Otherwise, if you've gotten distracted by ATC or something, you forget to do that. Winds are 050 at 7. 050 at 07. And do you remember the decision height? If you don't, you go back to your chart and it's 1,686 feet. So 1,686 feet. Barrow. Perfect. All right, back to the performance page. We're 12 miles from top of descent. So what other trouble can I get into? I think that that's probably about all the trouble that I can get into here. Oh, I turned down the sound just a little bit. Breakfast was very good here. I hope whatever in-flight snacks you had during cruise was nice and tasty too. That's one of the nice things about a flight like this is, you know, unless you're on VATSIM, you got to be with the radio. You can actually get the airplane up to cruise. And if you've got maybe an hour's worth of flying time like we had today, then that's kind of a good time to head on over to your personal airplane galley and make a couple of snacks. Coming up here pretty quick, look at that, 6 miles. Now then, there is a thing that we have within GSX. When we get below 10,000 feet and below 250 knots, we can pick the gate that we're going to. So we're going to do that, but we have to wait till we get to 10,000 feet and 250 knots. Now this is a Airbus A320. Airbus A320 wants the human to officially tell the airplane it's okay to okay to descend. Okay. I usually wait till we get the number 1 in there. When I see a 1, then that's when I usually go and press the button. And I press that in to initiate our descent. Now you can also see the little green dot right here. They call that the donut, I believe. And the donut, if it's centered up, that means that we're right on our descent path. So if you wait till right around 1 mile to press that button, you know, push that knob in, then usually you're right on your nice little descent path, and that's pretty cool. And we still got a ways to go here. As you can see, I've got the map zoomed out quite a bit. Let's go ahead and zoom it in. We turn on airports. And there is Lowe's. And everything's looking decent. We are in descent mode. The donut is centered here in the altitude indicator, so that's perfect. Our descent is going great. You saw that earlier in on this, I kind of briefed what it was that we were going to do on the ground. So here's our approach coming in to the runway. Looking here at the chart, there we are coming in. I'm hoping for Bravo 12, that's a short taxi. Of course, in the real world, we would probably be getting off here at Bravo 10, get off the runway as quick as we can because there's airplanes behind us. But we're going to go auto brakes low and B12 so we can get into the gate a little bit faster. And parking stands, we think after we come on in here. So B12, what's this going to do to us? So as we get off the runway at B12, there's an initial turn. We want to try and snag that second turn. So try and snag the second turn going into the gate area here. There's that second turn right there. And then we'll look for our gate, which is 246, and that's going to be off to the right. Briefing yourself on that, especially if you're in a VATSIM event, you're going to an airport you don't usually go to, that's going to save you an awful lot of trouble. So if you familiarize yourself with that, that's going to help out. Another thing that I will do is when it's landing time, you see over here we are actually tracking the flight here as we come in over Salzburg. So I actually leave the flight tracker on, but as I'm starting to come in there, we'll click in the approach, we'll click in the ILS, but really as I'm established on the ILS, I want to pop this in here and I'm going to zoom this in so it's all nice and big. So I'm going to see my little airplane coming down here and it's going to show me exactly where I am on the airport. And that's really helpful, especially in a big VATSIM event. And I think it's going to also be helpful as we tell the airport where it is that, you know, we want to park. So that we can have ground crew standing by. Passing 31,000 feet, unless there's turbulence or something, I usually do seatbelts right around 25,000 feet. Having been one of those passengers that had a little bit more coffee one day before departure, I'm I try to be very nice to passengers. And as I think I said at the beginning of the video, you only make the I've had too much coffee before flight time mistake once. And in my case, it was particularly bad because it was a bouncy flight, and so the seatbelt sign stayed on a little bit longer. Everything's looking good here. No real buttons to push. I mean, it's an Airbus. If you've got your flight plan set up, you know, your job is to, you know, make sure that none of the buttons pop out. You know, keep an eye out for other airplanes. Of course, run through the ECAM. Make sure that, you know, the systems are working good. Plan ahead for changes. If we were in a VATSIM event, chances are the ADAs for Munich right now would be landing runway 8 right and 8 left. So one of the things that I would do is I would also have the ILS chart not just for 8 right, but also for 8 left, because sometimes ATC is going to move you over to another runway. I've had that happen to me several times in Atlanta. It's called a sidestep, and I actually it's kind of fun. You know, it's a little bit of a challenge. You know, last minute they're saying, you know, United 441, can you sidestep to 8 right? Sure, we're good at that. And so like, what did I just get myself in for? But usually if they're telling you to sidestep, your choice is going to be either sidestep or go around. Okay. Descent is good, 27,000 feet. Everything's looking good here. Let's see, if you don't know, here in the Spy cockpit, I do use the Thrustmaster TCA Airbus setup. It's the captain's pack, so a side stick. I've also got the throttle with the flap and speed brake levers, and I've got to tell you, it works absolutely flawlessly with the Phoenix and the fly-by-wire. I've been able to, with very little adaptation, use most of the controls on the PMDG 737. Flap lever doesn't work so good. You know, you could take the detents from the Airbus out. I don't usually bother with that, so for landing gear and flaps, I just use buttons over on the stick, side stick, for gear up and down, and flaps go down and flaps go up. That being said, speed brake levers work very well. So that's a really good controller if you're new to flight sim and you're looking for something. Unless, of course, you're a huge Boeing fan and you want the Boeing stuff. 25,000 feet. This is when I usually do seatbelts. There's seatbelts. And nice views outside the cabin window. You know, if you haven't gotten to go and do an airplane ride for a long time like me, one of the nice things to do is in the morning around breakfast time is to set up the flight and get the autopilot going, go get your breakfast, and just come back and look out the window for a while. I know that basically outs me as a huge airplane geek and travel geek, but you know what? The scenery outside the airplane is getting so freakishly good right now. I was talking at the beginning of the video about watching a lot of YouTube videos of people that'll go and get a camera, just stick it in the window of an airplane, record the whole flight. I've been watching some of those on YouTube, and the story that I didn't mention was looking out, watching one of those, I think it was like a CRJ flight or something like that, and I was looking at the guy's video on YouTube and I was thinking, wow, that looks like Microsoft Flight Simulator. When in reality, they're like, no, I'm looking at the real world here. And so it was just sort of like, oh my gosh, what a little revelation. That's how good the scenery is getting in Microsoft Flight Simulator these days. Over on Twitch, you probably noticed that some live streamers have some commands called posture check and stretch and stuff like that. I definitely suggest doing those sorts of things, particularly in flight sim, where, you know, we just did a 2-hour and 45-minute flight up from Athens. Now, I got up and moved around on this particular flight to make breakfast and stuff, but if you've been sitting here the whole time, posture check, you know, you tend to get comfortable in your gamer chair and stuff. So posture check, make sure you're sitting correctly so that you can get your side stick and your throttles for landing. Now's a good time to do that. Make sure if you've got rudder pedals, your feet can reach the rudder pedals, and you're in good shape for that too. Looking here, you can see we got a couple of pink dots. I call them stop signs, and it doesn't mean stop, but those are the pink dots are the slow down points. So these are points where we're going to have to slow down. As we're getting a little bit closer, now is the time to take it out of airport mode and put it into constraint mode. So now that it's in constraint mode, this is going to put those up and see, okay, we got to be below flight level 130 at NAPSA and 280 knots. At OT, it looks like we're going to be above 5,000 feet here, and we're going to stay above 5,000 feet after Otterberg, and then we make our turn to final. There's that 5,000 around there. So all of that is looking really good. So I think we're in good shape there. Current time on the airplane, it is 13:29 Zulu. So that is probably a good indicator that our current METAR aboard the airplane is correct. This one was at 14:20 Zulu. If you're concerned, let's go and refresh. And this is still says 14:20 Zulu. That's this number right here. That's the time of the weather information. So our current weather information is good, and that's probably going to be good for our landing here. Those are the only other preparations that I would that I consider doing. The only other thing is if you have a setup where you might have, you know, an open cup of beverage sitting somewhere on your desk, particularly near your controls or your mouse. You know, enjoy your beverage, but set it off to the side. Because if you get busy and ATC gives you a last minute change of frequency and you reach for the mouse and your drink glass is over there, now all of a sudden you've got whatever it is you're drinking all over the table. So again, I've got a spot way over there that I put drinks. Yes, it happened to me once, and that's why I do that. I had coffee all over and dangerously close to my my powered USB hub. And that's one of the biggest reasons. Sort of like, okay, that was a little too close for comfort. So I got rid of that there. As we're coming on in, we can go ahead and pop on terrain radar. It looks like the terrain is going to be really pretty easy going here as we come into Munich. We does look like we're going to pass over the city of Munich. So as we come on in, we'll look as we make our turn for a nice view of Munich as we go in. I know very little about Munich. I do have to say that I've become a big fan because there is a payware airport available on the marketplace store. It's like a 17-18 US dollar scenery, but I was really impressed with that airport. So it's available on the marketplace, and like I said, I really liked it. Okay, here is our 280 knots. Right now we're at about 300 knots. So as we get closer here, we're going to start to see our airspeed's going to drop to 280. So we'll make sure that that happens. We're supposed to be below flight level 130. And we are 5 miles away, so I think clearly we're going to make that 130. So we're at 13,600. So I would expect to start seeing our speed drop a little bit here at NAPSA. And in fact, it looks like it is starting to reduce our rate of descent, and there's our speed down to 280. What a smart airplane. And if you get a chance, come on back, have a little look outside the window to see what's to see around Munich. Okay, there is our little bit of a turn. Now we're heading direct toward our favorite VOR, Otterberg. We really should take the de Havilland Twin Otter and fly around Otterberg. Let's see here. We're looking pretty good. We're getting a little bit low. I think that's because the airplane was trying to slow us down at NAPSA. A little bit high, I mean. So we're going to go ahead and increase our rate of descent just a bit. The airplane is, we're not. And we're going to go ahead, and I'll bet the airplane's going to slowly work to get the donut a little bit closer. It could very well be that it would like us to maybe do speed brakes. It seems to be going up a little, so let's add just a touch of speed brake and see if that doesn't make it better. Nope. How about one more notch of speed brake? Nope, it's not responding. In fact, the engines are going up, so the airplane is saying, "Hey, human, what are you doing? Quit messing around with the buttons." Okay, seatbelts. Everything's good. Coming up on 11,000 feet, we're going to be doing landing lights soon. Another thing that we could go and do is take a quick check here of the ILS page. And up here it says transition altitude is 5,000. Transition level is almost always set by air traffic control. You can either take that 5,000. I usually go 5,000 plus 1,000 feet, and that's 6,000 is what I might do unless I've got somebody setting it. And I believe that that's what the airplane's going to start flashing at us too. So it's 11,000 feet, and the airplane, I don't know if I did something wrong or what. We'll see what happens. Did I do something wrong on this? I don't know. It seems to me we've got plenty of time, plenty of space to make this up. I don't know that we're actually trying to slow down. At Otterberg, there's no real altitude constraint there. It just is above 5,000 feet until we get to Massac, the next VOR. So we're just going to assume that the airplane is smarter than I am, and let's just I'm going to stop pressing buttons. Okay, we got a couple of, looks like lakes up here. Still kind of farm, you know, suburbs. I'm going to guess the city's a little bit closer in here. I would imagine that this is going to look really good coming in at night. Okay, it's trying to reduce our speed now down to 250 knots. So there's our 250 knots. It's also below 10,000 feet. Landing lights. And nose light is armed and ready to go. Once we lower the landing gear, it will turn on. Let's do a 10,000 foot cabin call. And there is our 10,000 foot cabin call. See. Okay, now there is a little thing here. I don't use the correct term, so there is a little indicator right here. You see this little squiggly line here? So I call that the squiggly. And that is when we are going, that is basically when this thing is going to get centered up again. So as we're coming on in, it looks like we've got about 15 miles till we intercept the squiggly. And then at that point, this thing is going to disappear, and this thing should be centered up there. So I'm sure that there is an official term. There's an official Airbus term, but I figure that one's a little more entertaining. What scares me is I know that there's some real Airbus pilots that watch this. We're in serious trouble if somebody start, yeah, if real world people start adapting the term squiggly. But it is a kind of a cute little name. Okay, nothing else to really worry about here. Our speed is good. I usually start to want to, as we get closer, air traffic control is going to start to want us to manage our speed a lot more. So right now we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go and take control. And at this point in time, ATC might say a GN 441, 210 knots, maintain 210 knots for spacing. And usually if there's an event and there's like 4 or 5 airplanes, they're going to want us all going at that same speed. So let's look down here and see. And 210. Oh, I forgot. I left the little dot up. You have to actually press the button. You don't just get to turn knobs. Now let's look and see. There we go. Our speed's coming down. So there's another thing here, and I'm sure the official Airbus term is something different. Do you see between 240 knots and 220 at 230 knots? There's 2 little golden lines here. And you see over here, there is what's called the green dot speed. This is the point here, and I call those the hash marks. And then there's the green dot. Now that's a real term, and this is when you'd start to throw out your flaps. So if we're kind of coming down and we're a little fast and we're a little high, as soon as I see that we're past what I call the hash marks, then I might want to go ahead and do flaps 1. And there goes leading edge slats at this point. And we're still, okay, we're getting closer to the squiggly now. It's 5 miles, and you can see the donut is getting closer. So that's looking good. And a nice look out the window. You can see the density of houses and stuff is starting to pick up a little bit. We got a nice interstate over here. One of the things that I really wish we had better representation of is, you see coming on in here, see all these broadcast towers? I really wish that we had broadcast towers better modeled here, because broadcast towers, as a real world private pilot who does who used to do VFR flying, I'm not active right now, but if you happen to see a broadcast tower in your chart and you see the broadcast tower out there, that's how you do real world navigation. And I would just say, you know, it would be great to have more of those things out there. I think that there's probably some, you know, security minded people that are saying, oh, we don't want to do that, but I really would like to be able to see those sorts of things. They're all over P3D, so it's not a giant secret. Okay, 7,500 feet. As we start to make our turn coming in, we might be getting a call out from ATC that, as we make this turn in, so as we make the right turn here at Mastic, they would probably be telling us, okay, we would be cleared for the ILS, 180 knots until 5 miles DME. So we might be getting ready to go and slow the airplane down even more as we're making the turn around the corner here. So here we're going to the Mastic VOR here. And that's when we might be told to slow it down to 180 knots until, usually it's about 4 or 5 miles DME, depending upon how tightly the airplanes are all packed in. Okay, we're also between, it's 250 knots and 10,000 feet. Let's see if we can't pick our gate. We're going to the Kilo 10 or gate 246. So it's time to go in GSX. Okay, so what are we doing? Select an airport, EDDM, Munich. Gate AGM, gate 76, parking, gate A and G. So I guess we've got the G gates is the closest thing that I see, or the M gates. I don't see the K gates, and I don't see a next page. Customize airplane, GSX. So I don't see another place to go here. Whoops. So back to EDDM. All right, let's go and do the M gates, and we're going to go to the other side. So it's gate M12. Let's see. I think gate M11 might be good. So let's just go ahead and do gate M11. And we're going to get our servicing done by Lufthansa. I have no idea where that's going to be. All right, so this might be the point where we're cleared for the ILS approach. So we're going to activate the LS button. And let's go ahead and reduce our speed to 180 knots. 180. Good. Are we below the hash marks? Nope, they're right there. So we can do flaps 2 in just a little bit. And so it's going to be 180 knots until 5 miles DME. Let's look down here. I'm going to activate my approach phase, which is going to be our landing speed. Hey, we're below the little hash marks there, so flaps 2. Flaps 2. And look at the great scenery outside the window. Wow. Okay, so that's looking good. We do have 2 little diamonds here, so glide slope and localizer are active. Let's get a little help from the approach control. I really suggest using stuff like that, especially in a VATSIM event. It's just going to make your control of your airplane a little more precision. And as you get better at controlling your airplane, then you can disconnect your autopilot sooner and sooner. But if you're just getting started, really want to do that. M11. Okay, if I remember right, this is the terminal area. I got no clue which one of these is M11 though. So what we'll do is as we come on in, the next thing for us to do is we're going to come here and we're going to be on the Whiskey 2, and we're going to look for gate, gate, I was going to call it gate garbage, gate clutter and stuff. So we'll look for the gate that has baggage carts and stuff like that. And that should be our gate. Okay, bring the map in one more, click. We're looking pretty good. How about wheels? Landing gear time, and there is our runway. And there is gear. And we got landing gear. Okay, so as we get closer, feet on the landing, on the rudder pedals. Altimeter is 1016. 1016. 1016. And it used to drive a friend of mine that does live streaming nuts that I would never do this. The backup 1016. Super annoyed with me, but so I do that now. Okay, we got glide slope, we got localizer. They're both indicated as green up here, so that's good news. If we also wanted to be very good pilots, we wouldn't see the IMSE here, and we would go to the ILS page, and you would look and see IMSE 109.3. And so you verify your runway. You're tuned to the right one. Now I'm going to go to my airport page, and we're going to zoom in, and that way I will have moving map when we're taxiing. All right, and we are 7 miles DME. There's the runway. There's 5 miles DME. Landing gear is down, 3 green lights. I have not set my auto brakes. We're going to go low auto brakes. We're coming up on our 5 miles. I've still got the airplane handling my descent and keeping us lined up on the runway. We're busy. We're dealing with ATC stuff. If you get a chance, now's the time to preset your ground control frequency. Everything else is looking good. There's 5 miles DME. Verify we are in approach mode. We are. And now manage speed. How's our, we're below that hash mark, flaps 3. And as we continue to come in, we're below the last one. Flaps are now full. And we take a look down here, and up, spoilers. We have not armed spoilers. Speed brakes, armed. And the ECAM checklist is now green. If you've taken the extra time at this point to preset your ground control frequency, and if you're on a VATSIM event, you are set. So reach over here, gently grab your side stick. Then the last thing I'll do is look over here and see what the wind is doing. It's right down the runway, but slightly off to the left. With that,
1,000.
Auto pilot is off. Other hand is now on the throttles. And at this point, all we have to do is concentrate on our descent. Everything else is set. A little bit gusty today here in Munich. Over a very big highway and a nice little river. I guess I should maybe Autobahn, not highway.
500.
And we're kind of nicely on our descent there. Little off to the left.
400.
We're obviously visual right now, but even if you're doing a visual, if you have the time to set up an ILS,
300.
do that, because you really don't have good depth perception on a flat computer screen, but you can just glance down at your ILS indicator, and that is going to be really nice for you to see, hey, how am I doing on the path? Got a minimum call. We're good to go. I'm a little high. I see the windsock blowing the wind. Blowing us to the right, I mean.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 5, retard.
Reverse. Whoa. Whoa. I think my rudder pedals are way too sensitive. There we go. At least we're centered up now. Auto brakes off. Manual braking. Off on the high speed. Yeah, I think my nose wheel steering's a little bit too sensitive too. But we made it off the runway. So speed brakes down. I've noticed that usually speed brakes don't go down until you're on the high speed. Flaps are still down too. But that's okay. We can do landing lights. We did get beeped about something. What doesn't it like? It's saying the auto throttle is off. Thank you for letting me know that is off. We're off the runway, so strobes can go off too. We're going to go over here, and we're going to start the APU startup. We are on Bravo 10, so we got off the runway pretty quick. So we're going to continue on Tango, Bravo 12. We'll slowly start to clean up a few things here. Flaps can go up. All right, here we are coming over. So there is the Bravo 12, and we're going to be making a right turn and hope that we see our gate stuff. Little more slowing here. APU flap is clearly open now. And as we come around here, we're going to look and see where the gate stuff is at, and that should be our gate. There should probably be all sorts of cool things waiting for us. Here's an interesting thing. Some airports handle these bridges over roadways, and you hit like a giant wall, a huge bounce. So be ready for that. Looks like this airport is done very, very well. How about that? Okay, and so now we're going and we're looking over there. Okay, I see a little something over there, but that's not an awful lot. So I believe that this is the M gates, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it's, well, no, that's for Munich, not M. So this is one of those cases where, you know, they've got the gate numbers are different than the gates themselves. So what I'm looking for is something, you know, that might have a, you know, loaders standing by. Well, there's a few more loaders over there. There's 218. But they all look about the same. I'm also looking to see if maybe there's some stairs around. Now there's a thing that we could do. Okay, there's a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go in and let's get a little help from GSX. So, request follow me. Alright, so I need a follow me car. I have no idea where we're going. Okay, those are just cars up there on a roadway. Up here's our follow me car. Either that or it's the cops. Boy, I understand you've been taxiing around the airport and you don't know where you're going. Son, we're going to have to take you in for questioning. This is a serious matter. Hi. All right, there's follow me. Let's follow this guy. Okay, we're ready. And looks like we're making a bit of a turn here. Oh, looks like we're making a U-turn. Terribly embarrassing. Okay, so it doesn't look like I was even on the right concourse. This is really... Oh, boy, that's just a really good feel-good kind of a thing. And it isn't even close to where the real gate was. Now, let's say that instead of doing this flight into Munich, we were going to someplace like Atlanta, Chicago, Denver. The gates are going to be numbered the same. So we wouldn't, my humiliation would be, well, if I'd screwed that up, it would be even worse. Oh, is it back over in here? No. Oh, I bet we're going over to Terminal 1. Hey, at least we're going back over the bridge. I'm sure that the passengers are back there saying, what was in the pilot's coffee today? Did he have the chicken or the fish? Which, in case you don't know, is a joke from the comedy movie Airplane. Dude! What the hell was that? What was that little flippity-do that you just did there? Just sort of like, hey, let's mess with this guy. Let's just mess with him. Welcome to a German truck simulator. The PR people from Aegean Airlines are sending a letter right now saying, don't you ever fly our livery again. Okay, now you're slowing down. Okay, did you change lights? Follow me. Okay, well, we're following you. Why is it that you slowed down all of a sudden? I've got to remember what the procedure is. You've got to go and turn on one of these pumps up here for hydraulics for a one-engine taxi. Now would be the perfect time for a one-engine taxi. See, we could go ahead and clear this. That was letting us know that we disconnected the auto throttle. Yep, not even at the right concourse. Okay, so we're coming up in here into the Echo. Oh, we're passing that concourse now. How delightful. What gate did I finally get myself set up to? Did I set myself up for a cargo gate? What are we doing? Yeah, this is now. Was that a cargo thing? Okay, well, our Aegean passengers are going to be getting off the cargo chute. Oh, this is terrible. Yeah, we're coming into the cargo zone right now. Is that where is that where this was? Well, we're going to FedEx our passengers to their next destination. I hope that I hope you find your cargo containers nice and comfy. Oh, this is ridiculous. Oh, the humiliation. Watch. We're probably going to get down here, and the follow me guy is going to turn us all the way around and make us go the other way. I'm looking for gate stuff up here, and I don't see any gate stuff up here. Well, this was a nice experiment. It really kind of sucks because, yeah, I mean, this is actually a really nice airport. This is one of the nicest sceneries I've seen. It made me really want to go and visit this airport for real. Okay, now he's making, are we going to make a turn into the cargo zone here? Yeah, making a turn into the cargo zone. Okay, I think I see where we're going over here. We're going over to probably, yes. Nope, I thought we were going to go over there. Nope, we're not doing that. Looks like we're making a turn like this. Okay, this is like not what I was hoping for. On the other hand, the adventure continues. What are you doing? I don't see a bunch of stuff here. Passengers are whispering back there. Mommy, why are the flight attendants on their phones so much right now? The little kid back there. Up. Well, yep. There, I see a stairway. So here there's M17, M16. Are you freaking kidding me? This is where the M gates are. Okay. Well, this was really not the way I was hoping that this video was going to wrap up. Not particularly, but you know what? Let's go with it. Okay, and here we all are coming in. I see gate guidance coming in, which is really nice. I'm going to guess that that's going to do us. Parking brakes. Did we get the APU up and running at least? We did. Engines. Okay, so there's our engines. Let's do beacon, nose light, APU bleed, doors, seat belts. Okay, so now we loaded this air up. We have external powers already plugged in. Now then, let's go and do this with GSX, just to see what happens, okay? So let's hit the GSX button. Okay, there's GSX. Okay, request deboarding. Oh, I guess we may need to operate the stairs here first. So we're gonna operate stairs. Now this is where they send the airplanes that, you know, that law enforcement might have to go and visit the cockpit. So really nice Lufthansa stairways here. And we'll see how this works. And they'll raise that up for us. And drive it in. And I think that sometimes this opens the doors for us. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so that looks good. We may need to open our own doors here. So let's go down here and let's go to the Phoenix page. I'm going to dismiss this and let's open the 1L and 2L doors. Okay, so there's our doors. Now let's go back and hit the GSX button and request deboarding.
Boarding requested. Passenger's bus is coming.
So the passenger bus is coming. Okay, now all of a sudden this thing has pulled back. So this is pulled back here. So I guess we're going to make the passengers jump. Now I will also say that the loading and unloading on this airplane is really pretty impressive. And you're going to get, I mean, it's really worth the show. So again, I probably wouldn't do it this way. I wouldn't do it this way if you're going to do a VATSIM event, because it's going to take way too long unless you're really good at figuring out how much time it's going to take. But as you take a look over here, you can see the cargo containers. And I guess the A320 has smaller size containers, so it's not the full size, but they actually have containers here. Now is our gates? Yeah, our gates are still far away. Where's our... here comes a passenger bus. And so, well, the crew in the back of the airplane's faster. Now, maybe they pulled these things back just a little bit because they don't want anybody getting off the plane until the bus gets in here. Maybe that's the reason why. So here's our passenger bus. Let's see if they pull forward a little bit now that the bus is here and it's legal for people to get off, I guess. So here's our bus. And there is Mr. Bus.
Passengers, the boarding starting.
Okay, so deboarding is starting. That's still not up there, so I think we're going to have passengers levitate across the way here. Now, this might not be a bug. This might be pilot incompetence here, okay? But there we go. I don't see any passengers getting off the plane yet. Okay, I see somebody standing in the window here. Up here comes our here comes our first passengers. Up here's the levitation. Oh, look at that. See, they all have Harry Potter wands. It's Leviosa, well, Hermione says it better. Oh, whoops, that's not Hermione. I don't have that sound set up. So yeah, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Okay. Well, there we go. Not great, not terrible, but I think that it's a solid show here, and I think that there's more to learn. There are some airports that are there's some things that you can download from flightsim.to, so you're going to get a better airport file. I think that probably my problem was I was confused. I really thought these were the M gates here at Terminal 2. Clearly that wasn't the case. But I think we made it. How does that sound? Well, as I always like to say at the beginning of these things, this is never, my videos on YouTube are never about the right way versus the wrong way. It's what, well, sort of mostly works for me. There's still a lot to learn, though, about GSX. Please leave your questions and your comments into chat. I'm still new here on YouTube and definitely appreciate any support. If you want to share this and like this, this is certainly going to help me out. I'd also like to thank donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. Thank you for being the jet fuel in my flight plan for sure. I'd also like to invite you over to the Twitch live stream. Tuesday through Sunday. We depart at 1900 Zulu on Tuesdays and Sundays on Twitch. If you don't do Ko-fi and Patreon, you could come over if you wanted to be nice and do a subscription over there. That would be nice too. Or just come on over and fly. It is a good group of people. It's fun people, and they're a little bit more knowledgeable than I am. So as the pilot gets escorted to that special pilot holding room for, incompetence here, I'm going to say thank you so very much for watching. I hope that this was at least a little bit entertaining. Do you want to deboard the crew? Yeah, let's get rid of the crew.
Crew bus is coming.
Yeah, we got to get them. I'm surprised they weren't invited to ride in the police car. Thank you so much for flying along. I hope you are having a great week this week. I will look forward to seeing you again soon here on YouTube and even sooner on Twitch. Stay healthy, stay safe. Cheers.